to take typing lessons for 2 hours a day for 2 straight weeks. That's it. If you follow that religiously, I can guarantee that you will improve your typing speed. So let me show you how to do it. Type in free online typing practice. You're going to see a bunch of results. I don't recommend anything in particular, but let's visit this first result. And as you can see, there are different sections for each group of characters and keys. Let's try this. And as you can see, there's JJF, and there's an image showing how you should position your fingers. UUJJ, UUJJ. With this arrangement, you don't have to crisscross type. This might feel boring for a while. You just keep at it because you don't have to do this forever. You just have to do this enough to the point of you not being able to forget where the keys are located. There are actually also games. So what this does is ensure that you don't forget the placement of J and F on the keyboard, and you will never forget this as long as you practice 2 hours a day for 2 weeks. There are also explainer videos. So we even talk to you about proper posture. This is professionally made. And once your memory files this permanently, you will not have to look at the keyboard. You will only look at the screen. And then the second reason is not knowing the 7 steps of the call flow. Some companies provide a mock call test, while some do it informally during an interview. It is essential that you memorize the 7 steps of the call flow. I have a lot of videos about that, from opening the call to closing the call. If you know an experienced CSR who can role play with you, that is perfect. But if not, this is where free AI comes in.
Hello? Hi, I'm calling because I ordered a phone case last week and it still hasn't arrived. I checked the tracking number you sent and it says delivered, but I never got it.
Sure, Maria, I'll be happy to help you with that. Do you have the order number so I can check it here for you?
Right, order numbers. Let me look. Let's see. 0123456789. I paid $15 for expedited shipping, so I get it in 2 days. And now it's been a week and it's lost? This is ridiculous.
So you provide the 7 steps of the call flow to the AI tool, and it will test you according to those steps. Another reason is poor English fluency and grammar. There are easy problems to solve, and there are ones that require patience, time, and consistency. This is one of those. If poor grammar is your problem, then there's no other choice but to get back to the basics. That's it. You'll never be decent at speaking English, or any language for that matter, without learning the language basics. It's like building a house with a shaky foundation. It will never stand. I wanted to learn the basics of writing. I didn't want to be excellent at it, but I just wanted to know the basics of writing. Therefore, I bought a book about painless writing. And what I took from it was, generally, it is better to use verbs instead of adverbs and adjectives to make the writing feel more alive. But I digress. My point is, I wanted to learn a specific skill, and I bought a book about it. There are online resources, YouTube, or you can buy courses, for example. The important thing is you learn the main framework of the language, meaning subject-verb agreement, the masculine and feminine, plural and singular, conjugations, everything you need to know to be coherent when speaking the language. Another thing, some of you might already know the grammar rules of English, so you don't need to revisit them. But the problem is, you're consuming media that are not English. So, unsurprisingly, when it's time to speak English, then you freeze. Now, if that is the case, the solution is to watch English materials, but not for adults. I recommend that you read children's books, cartoons. The language is so expressive, the enunciation is clear, and the words are simple. Hello everyone. Let me just stop you there for a second and correct myself. When I said children's materials, what I mean are books. They're not exactly geared for younger audiences. I think those are too easy for you. As long as you graduated high school in the Philippines, those materials would be too easy for you. What I specifically mean are books that are classified as middle grade literature, meaning 8 to 12 years old, or even the late teens. For example, The Lightning Thief, or all the books written about Percy Jackson. Another example is Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. When you read these types of books, you will notice that the words used are not hard to understand. They're used mostly in daily conversations. And you will also notice that the sentences tend to be short, so you're actually able to enjoy the story without having to check the dictionary every minute or so. Also, the tone of these types of books, conversational. It's not like Frankenstein, for example, written a long time ago by Mary Shelley. There's a lot of words here that are if you're not a reader, would be hard for you to understand or would not be familiar. If you're having a hard time understanding the material, then it's going to be hard to keep going. Another problem I see is you might have a decent grasp of English, you might have a decent stock of vocabulary, but your delivery is weak. So tell me about a time when you handled a difficult customer.
Okay, so this one customer, she was, her order was marked delivered, but she didn't receive it. So I first told her, sorry, but before that, I was actually checking the tracking already. Or no, I asked for the order number first pala.
Right.
And then it showed delivered. So I told her maybe we need to check the courier notes. But then she was already asking for refund. So I escalated it actually. Like I tagged it urgent right away. But before that, I think I also checked the address because I was thinking maybe wrong delivery. And yeah, it was showing like wrong building or something. So I told her we can file dispute. But then I also said replacement might be possible, but actually refund is also an option. So I kind of told both. Then she asked for supervisor, and I said yes, I can escalate. So yeah, I kept updating her and explaining while also trying to check the details at the same time. But in the end, I documented everything and she calmed down.
Okay, so was she escalated to a supervisor or did you get to resolve the case?
Oh yes, sorry, I forgot about the supervisor. So my supervisor was actually not available, so she had to stay on the line with me until I resolved the issue.
The applicant's answer here is already decent in that as a listener, you already get the gist of the story. You know what happened first, next, and so on. But it could be more compelling and more organized. It felt like it was just an enumeration of events instead of a story. And the interviewer did ask the applicant to tell a story. And so the answer could benefit with proper organization of thought. Let me give you another way of answering it. This would be one of the many possible better answers. This follows the problem, action, and result formula. The problem was first stated, this was the action, and the action was also organized chronologically. There's first step, second, and third to indicate sequence. Compare this answer to the previous one, and I think we can all agree that this is way better. So why am I saying this? What's my point? My point is to get from delivering weak answers to compelling ones, you need to include writing exercises as part of your routine. Specifically, if you're struggling with thought organization, you have enough vocabulary, you know the grammar rules, but somehow, when it's time to speak, you freeze, and there are other reasons for that. Anxiety, being one of them, but another is because you just need practice. When you write, you have the luxury of time to think about the best and most precise words to use to honor your thoughts. It's different from speaking, where you're only accessing the surface level vocabulary you have because you have to be spontaneous, you have to be fast. Writing, on the other hand, allows you to explore the words that are a little bit out of reach, like passive vocabularies. You know their meaning, but you don't normally use them when speaking because they're a little bit underneath. They're not easily accessible unless you really take the time, sit down, make an effort to reach out to them by writing. That makes sense. I just think that in an indirect but effective way, writing helps you become better at speaking. Not that you'd be able to speak like this without pauses, without fillers. What I'm saying is what you learn from writing, some of it will transfer over to speaking. And mind you, when you have to write, you also have to read naturally because reading will allow you to see different styles of writing, and whatever captures your attention, whatever you like, you can emulate it in your writing. So here's what I usually do when I encounter a piece that evokes a reaction in me. I would take note of that excerpt. In the past, I would write it on a notebook, but now I'm going digital, so I would just open a Google Doc. And this particular excerpt was from a New Yorker article. For some reason, it just created a reaction. I wanted to preserve it, so to speak. So I copied it, and in my free time, I would read them aloud and sort of internalize the feeling I have with it and how the words are arranged to evoke an emotion. Another thing you can do, ask ChatGPT to give you topics you can write about and ask it for help to improve your writing. For example, this is a topic that it asked me, what's a book that everyone should read? And this was my written answer. I wouldn't say it's a good piece at all, but it's coherent, and I also asked ChatGPT's help with it. So I would ask it questions about my doubts with my writing. Am I using the punctuation right? And then it would give me suggestions. Here it gave me a better version, and it's up to me to follow the advice or just take some parts of it or not take any of the advice at all. So this way, you're using ChatGPT in a more collaborative way instead of letting it do all of the heavy lifting and you not learning anything. Here I asked it to give me a list of questions. It gave me a bunch of questions from different topics, and I would expound on it through writing. Just a disclaimer that if you're trying to be a professional writer, this might not be the best use of your time using AI, because writing professionally is a different ballgame. But if you're just someone who's trying to improve your communication skills in general, for work, for your emails, for communicating with clients, then this is a worthy activity. But I also have to remind you that writing without speaking, when you try to improve your speaking ability, is useless. So the next exercise is speaking. Let me show you two websites I highly recommend when you're practicing your speaking spontaneity. So here's speechtopicgen.com and randomtopicgen.com. If you choose your preferred exercise, you can roast a popular thing, 1 minute pitch, defend the worst. You can also choose it to be random, and you can also practice interview questions. You spin that in there, and it has a guide whether you want to answer with a STAR method, prep, or PPF. And you can choose behavioral and consulting questions, and you can also learn new vocabulary. Now, here's another website, randomtopicgen.com. I usually use this for questions, so I spin it, and then you can start the timer, and you have 1 minute to answer. What this does is it forces you to make your answer as impactful as possible. Another option is to use ChatGPT or any AI tool. So here I ask it to give me a list of questions for my speaking practice. So it gave me different topics, interview questions, and customer service. So the questions are more varied. Here's one of my sessions. What's a hobby I enjoy? Hands down, reading fiction novels. It's a hobby that I don't even have to remind myself to do. I don't have to force myself to perform because it comes naturally to me. And that I think is what makes a hobby a hobby. You feel invigorated when you're doing it, and you don't have to make an effort. It's all effortless and you enjoy it. What I like about reading it, fiction novels, especially fantasy books and epics, is it allows me to visit another dimension that feels like the secret, just a secret between me, the author, and the characters in the book. And to me, that's a magical feeling. And I certainly would want people to feel that. Movies could give you that, but it's not as immersive as in the books. And I know that might sound counterintuitive because books don't really show you colors, physical colors on the screen. But books are more detailed, more immersive, and it's not just visual, but also thought-provoking.
because it allows you to see the perspective of each character compared to when you're just watching a movie and everything's and the director or the filmmaker tells you what to see, what to feel. But with books, it's more open. You know what I mean?
So when you practice speaking exercises like this, it mimics the usual questions that you would get from employers and interviewers. Over time, probably about a period of 1 to 2 weeks, you will notice a difference in your spontaneity. Now, another reason is heavy accent. A lot of people are asking, do we really need to neutralize our accent? And the answer is yes in this case, because we work in the call center industry. Now, in the Philippines, there are jobs, occupations where you don't need to neutralize your accent. You just need to master your English. For example, the politicians, it would be a bit jarring if they have an American accent when they're serving the Filipino people and they're making speeches for Filipino audiences. So you will notice that politicians in the Philippines don't really have an American accent because it doesn't make sense. Now, because we work in the call center industry and most of our customers are in North America or other English speaking countries, it makes sense that we do need to neutralize our accent. That's why I recommend these steps to help you neutralize your accent. Number 1 is to look for someone to emulate. I recommend that it's a native speaker, preferably the accent that you're trying to copy, and you choose that person, that speaker, as your baseline, as your ideal accent, okay? Second step is to record yourself copying that person.
I constantly feel the need to put down my husband.
Why do you constantly feel the need to put down my husband? Husband. Husband?
Put down my husband.
My husband.
Oh, I'm sure he does it out of love.
Oh, I'm sure he does it out of love. Oh, I'm sure he does it out of love.
Same way my boyfriend makes me feel terrible about my life choices.
The same way my boyfriend makes me feel terrible about my life choices.
Who does actually look like First Trainer.
He does actually look like First Trainer. He does actually look like like Thor's trainer. He does actually look like Thor's trainer.
Who does actually look like First Trainer, staring at me.
Staring at me.
And I'm like, oh God, am I doing something wrong? And in the
Oh God, am I doing something wrong? Oh God, am I doing something wrong?
Copy every tone, pitch, inflection from that speaker's voice. Children are more competent when it comes to acquiring accent because they like observing adults. Whoever they admire, they copy. But adults are not hopeless. You just have to make a conscious effort to do this, and you have to be consistent. And then once you record yourself, you listen to both recordings, the person you want to copy and your own recording, and make a list of all the things you can improve, all the sounds that you need to work harder on so you sound as close as possible to that person. Now, another reason for failing your job application is poor knowledge of the industry.
So, where do you see yourself 5 years from now?
I honestly might go back to school in about 6 months, but I'm not exactly sure yet. Right now, I just need extra income, and luckily my friend told me you were hiring.
Okay, and what about graveyard shifts? Are you willing to work the graveyard shift and rotating schedules?
For the shifting schedules, I'm open to it, but I just need to check my school schedule first so I could commit properly.
Okay, thanks for sharing. We'll be in touch.
Now, this sounds basic, but if you're a complete beginner, you naturally have to understand the principles of customer service and job interviews in general. Because this is call center and it's well known to be a stressful job, it is normal for job interviewers to want to hear an indication that you can handle stress. They don't want to hire someone who would possibly leave the company after 6 months because training is expensive. They also want to hear that you're willing to work the night shift and holidays and shifting schedules because that is simply the nature of the job. And interviewers know, we know that we're all in the industry because we want the salary. But at least make an effort to show that you understand the basics of what the job demands. You have to know what is a call center, what is BPO. These are basic things that you can search online. I have a lot of job interview videos, but the gist of it is portray yourself as someone who can handle stress under pressure, that you understand what customer service is, and that you're willing to work the night shift. So those are the most common reasons why someone would fail a call center job application. Hopefully you found this video helpful. By the way, before I end this video, let me just give a shout out to Team Manager Freya Badayos from IBEX, Char, and from Trainer Rosal Sequeira. Hello, thank you so much.
The future of work for me is working locally, but on a global scale. I joined JP Morgan Chase.
Hi everyone, I'm Sheena. And I'm Candice. And today we are going to do a mock call with an irate customer. I will be assisting the customer and I will be narrating. So every time you hear the sound of a finger snapping like this, then that means that Candice will be frozen and I will be talking in the background. My task will be to explain why Candice is saying the things that she's saying during the call. So this way you will be able to understand the call flow. But if you want an uninterrupted version of this mock call, then I suggest to click the link above because that is where I'm gonna link the video where we don't interrupt the call. So that being said, let's begin. Let's begin. By the way, guys, this is the product knowledge for this mock call. I want you to take a minute to read and familiarize it so you will be able to better understand the solution given to the customer's problem in this mock call. Go. 1, 2, 3, ring. Hi, thank you for calling Home Supplies. This is Candice. How may I help you?
Order number 123456, full name Amber Hill.
Okay, pause. So as you notice, the customer already gave her order number and her full name right at the start of the call. What do you think does this mean? This means that you can now check off step 3 because the customer already confirmed her account herself. All Candice has to do now is to enter the customer's information in the system and search her account. That's it. So you might also notice that the step 3 came before the step 2. Know that this is normal, depending on what the customer says first. So the order of the steps 2, 3, and 4 in the call flow is interchangeable. So in this call, step 3 came before step 2, and this is fine. So that being said, let me point out another thing that you should notice in this call. We all know that this is a call about irate customer. So what I want you to do now is to listen to the customer's tone of voice when she was speaking. I will replay what the customer just said. I want you to listen to her tone of voice to see if you could already feel that she is going to be an irate customer. Okay, so let me replay it.
Order number 123456, full name Amber Hill.
Okay, I'm not sure if you noticed, but Amber's tone of voice, the customer, is already a hint that she is going to be an irate customer, and that's for 2 reasons. First is that she didn't bother with the greeting. She didn't even say hi. She didn't say any one-word greeting. She just blurted out her order number and her full name. That's it. So if the customer does this, there's 2 reasons. Either she's an irate customer or she is in a hurry. But in the case of Amber here, it's more like she is an irate customer because her tone of voice, which is the second reason why she's an irate customer here, is in her tone of voice there was no warmth or friendliness in it. You can really feel that she's not happy. There's like an edge in her voice that you can feel. I don't know if you can feel it, but this is something that you will have the instinct for once you have the experience. These here are indications that a customer is going to be an irate customer. Now let's proceed. Thank you. Give me 1 moment, please, so I can pull up your account. Okay, I got your order here, and it was for a convection oven for $129. Is this correct?
Yes, correct. Except that you guys sent me a cutting board.
Oh, I am so sorry. That was
No.
me.
Let me finish. Don't give me your sorry for this inconvenience bullshit. Because this is not an inconvenience, Candace. This is a disaster. I am upset. I waited one long week, and you guys sent me a cutting board. I mean, how could you even explain that, Candace? How could you even explain that? That someone from your shipping department could mistake a piece of cutting board for an oven. That's what I'd like to know. Cause I can see how. It's my son's birthday this Thursday, and I need that oven to bake his cake. It is now Monday, and I have no oven. But hey, I guess that's okay, right? Because I have a cutting board.
Amber, I truly understand how frustrating this is for you. I truly do. I do. I know that our shipping department tries to their best to keep the orders as accurate as possible, but on very rare occasions, this kind of mistake happens from time to time, and I'm so sorry that this happened to you. Of course, this is not an excuse, and a mistake is a mistake. And right now, what I can do is to help you resolve this issue. Pause. Okay. So this here is step 2, which is to empathize, to assure, or apologize. In the case of this call here, Candace apologized because this was clearly the company's fault. The company sent the wrong item to the customer, so Candace should apologize. Another thing that I want to bring to your attention in this apology is, did you notice that Candace did not just say I'm sorry? She didn't just say a one sentence apology statement like I'm so sorry for the inconvenience or I understand your frustration.